Welcome at part 2 of the Blender 2.8 Fluid Simulator. In this part we are going to make this exact same scene. And for today I'm going to show you about what you can do more than just raising the resolution to make the fluid go smooth, how to add transparency, how to add these colorful colors, how to have a white world settings with a black background, and of course I'm going to show you a teaser for the upcoming tutorial. As always, I got a tiny little display down here which shows you what hotkeys I'm using. We're going to select this lamp and delete it because we are not going to use any light at all. Now select the camera and zoom out for a bit, then press Ctrl Alt numpad 0. And over here you got the camera tab and we're going to change the end for 500. Now let's select this cube, we're going to size it with S and then type in 5. And from the front view with numpad 1, I'm just going to place it down here. We're going to change some things later on. And we're going to spawn in another cube. This time we're going to size it a little bit different. So press S, press Y, and let's give it a chords of 12. Press S, press Z, type in a chords of 3. Press S, press X, and type in 15. One thing though, always make sure that the thickness is not less than 2.5, or else the water will start leaking through it. If not on the flat surface, then it will be at the side. Back to the front view, zoom out for a bit, and then I'm just gonna place it down here. Go into edit mode, make sure the transparency is on. So when I select these vertices at the front, the ones at the back are selected too. So now we're going to make a track. You can do whatever you like. In this case, press E. And I'm going to move it up until here, because I need to make sure the thickness is always 3. Then select the ones underneath. Press E. Hold your Ctrl and just move it down. Then do the same again. Press E, hold your Ctrl, etc. until you've made something like this. Now from the front view, I'll just show you in edit mode. Every time I each few more steps, so it's getting wilder and wilder. Of course, I've also tried to do like a straight line. It does works, but in this case I like the stairways more because it gives more noise to the water. And from the front view, I'm just going to also select this cube, and when zoomed out enough, I'm just going to put this up here, so it's 4 blocks away from this line down here. And 5 blocks away from this line down here. And when zoom in, I'm just gonna move it so it's on the red line. And of course, besides inflow, we're also going to need an outflow. So in this case, let's spawn in another cube. This time I'm going to size it up with 2. I'm going to give it on the y-axis a 12. And I'm going to give it on the x-axis a 5. So this one is a little bit lower, but it doesn't matter because when the water touches the surface, it will just, disappear anyway. So we don't have to be worried that it will go through it. So now we're going to need a domain. Let's spawn in another cube. Let's size it on the Y, give it a 12. And from the front view, I'm just going to count these few little blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know when I would press S and X and type in 60, that it's all along the way, because one block is 5, and the height 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one more is 7. That means 35. I'm glad I can cut edit this, so I need to recalculate. Can just cut that out. Anyhow, let's turn off the transparency. Let's press Z and go into wireframe. Now let's select this cube, which will be our inflow. Let's select the physics tab. Hit fluid and choose inflow. Let's select this cube, which will be our outflow. Hit fluid and select outflow. Select the track. Hit fluid and select obstacle. Let's hit this big guy. Hit fluid and select domain. And now when we press Z, we can go back to solid mode and we can just see everything. Before continuing, let's save up your work. And by the way, when pressing Ctrl S, you can just hotkey save them instead of going up here and save as. Now before continuing, let's hit the third tab from above. And let's change the FPS to 60. Let's change here on the timeline the 250 into 500. Let's select this piece of water up here. Go back to the physics tab. Let's open bake and let's just bake it for now and see what's up. Not much. So in this case, in order to make it more smooth, you're going to need to change some chords. So from the front view, I'm just going to select this cube, and I explained in part 1 that if we want our water to go down or up, we need to mess around with one of these chords, right? So the part with the letter is always plus, and the part without the letter is always minus. So in this case, let's type in -10. Select the water and let's change the speed to 12. Save it up and let's bake this again. In this case, let's leave it on preview. Let's play. You can see it's kind of wonky, kind of not. Now let's put this onto final. You can see it's a little bit more smoother. So that's the difference between final and preview. I never changed the preview. You can actually put a preview max 100. And sometimes you don't want to have this on final, because if you, for example, have the resolution on 400 and have some other things done, it can go like 2 FPS per second. That's very heavy. In this case, let's start smoothing out the water. So one thing you can do with the water being selected is press other mouse button and press shade smooth. It's already a little bit more smoother. If we play, it's kind of nice and it works out. Now, of course, you can see over here, there is more water coming out than going away. So in this case, I would like to give this a little change. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this object and just push this back for a little bit after I change the transparency. Very important. And I'm just going to put this down here for now. Then I'm going to select the outflow, put it down here, change this like so. And then I'm going to rebake after saving, and you just have to play along with this, and that is why you don't want to crank up the resolution until you're 100% happy and tested everything. Now it goes a lot better. So in this case, there are a few things more you can do than just cranking up the final resolution. One of these things is when you open boundary, you can see here RTL slip, and if you open it, no slip or free slip. The no slip only works for moving objects. We're not using those right now, so we're going to select free slip. And this should make sure that the water is slipping lesser on our surface. But in order to make this work on the non-moving object, in this case this track, we also have to select this track and change this to free slip. Save it up, rebake again. Now it's done baking, and straight away you should see some difference. It just touches the surface and just moves on, instead of it's getting dragged onto the surface. And this will give this water simulation a lot more smoothness, or better to say, it looks realistic. Other thing you could do to make it look more smooth is when you go to the modifier tab and open this modifier, you can see there is a lot of stuff, right? Some people will think, and you know, they are right, that you can actually select subdivision surface. Now, when I select this, after I saved it up, and select this, it's gonna take a little bit of time because it needs to calculate all the smoothness in here. Now the point is, when you crank up the resolution to 300 or 400, each frame it will need to recalculate the subdivision. And the higher you set this, the longer it takes to calculate for each frame. And now you can actually use this subdivision, but I recommend to do this really as last thing. Even if you crank the resolution up to 400 and you baked all your frames and you checked out if it's good or not, then you should actually add this. But we're not going to do that right now because I haven't used that in my preview animation. I'm going to use just a smooth. And straight away you should have seen when I turn this on and off down here that it's already going to go smoother. Now in my preview animation I had this on 2, but keep in mind my resolution is on just 65. Now I'm just going to put this on preview and put this on 150, save it up again. Now I'm just going to bake it, and it took over 3 minutes and 20 seconds on 150 frames, while before on default it took like 11 seconds. So in this case, I'm going to put the preview on final and just play this. And now you can see the water is going smooth. It has some nice noise in it. And for now, this is just fine for the tutorial. Let's move on. And keep in mind, you can crank up the resolution to 300 or 400. And or if you're very happy with that end result, you can always add a subdivision at the modifier tab. Let's save it up. And before continuing, I'm just going to show you a teaser for one of the upcoming tutorials. In this case, I'm just gonna delete this smoothness and I'm going to add a remesh and change the sharp to blocks. This is what you get right now. And after saving, if I would press play, this is what's happening. Not much just yet, but you kinda get the idea. You can play around with these bricks. Of course, this is not the correct way how to add this in here, but that is something for next time. I'm just gonna add the smooth back, put this on 2, and let's continue. And choose a frame, something like this would be nice. So in this case, let's select this cube because we are done with the cube. We don't need to change anything anymore with it. And when you select something, it will get a circle onto it. So if I would select this one, the circle would move. With the cube being selected, let's turn it off for the viewport and let's turn it off for our final render. And we are going to do the same with the outflow and for our track in this case. Let's turn off the overlay and let's put it on Eevee real-time rendering. Then go to the world tab settings and just put this onto the very white. Let's save it again. Always keep saving your progress. You never know what happens. And let's just select the line down here and let's put it up with this fluid being selected. And before I actually should add the colors, I should first show you how to add in transparency. So in this case, I'm just gonna put it one tab back, which will show you a little bit of reflection of the real world settings, because when I select on shading, you can see this is what's on the reflection. So let's select the second tab, select screen space reflections, then open it and select Refraction. Now go to the material tab and just select this default one. Now scroll all the way down and at settings, select screen space refraction. And I didn't use this word a lot. And let's just crank it up until 0.1 meters. Let's put the transmission all the way up. And let's put the roughness all the way down. And now you can actually see that it's transparent. It's a little bit hard to see, but when I would add in a plane, scale this up to 1000, you can actually see that it's now transparent. Very good, right? So go back to Eevee. It's still transparent. And select the water. And now raise this up here. And change the timeline for shade editor. Now we're going to add in these colorful colors. We're going to put this offside. Now press Shift A and search for ramp. Let's select this color ramp, place it down here and put this spaghetti string onto the base color. And on the left side we have black, on the right side we have white, but you can see nothing happened. It's just totally gray. So what this basically do, or does better to say, is when I would change this blackish color to a red color and put this white color onto blue, it will make purple. Simple as it is. So now, in order to give this color ramp the right orders, we need to add in a commander. So let's type in gradient. I don't know how to pronounce it, but you can see the word, what it says. Let's add this spaghetti string to the fag. And now you can already straight away see that some colors have changed. If it doesn't show up, just, click on the color ramp and then it will be clear. And what you also could do is just do it the other way. So now it's like so. But in this case, we're going to use a liner. And now, in order to add some more colors to this, just click on the plus 2 or 3 times. Just move them along. And this one is going to be yellowish. This one greenish. This one should be the bluish one, and I should also not forget to crank up. Want a lot of color in this. This one is done, and the red one done, and then this blue one going to be a little bit more bluish, something like this. Now, isn't this just colorful? So let's just change the shade editor to timeline. And now, when I press numpad 0, our camera is right in the face. We're going to put the camera a little bit on the right face before continuing. So I'm just going to hold my scroll bar so I can just move. Just go something like this. I should actually select my camera. Turn the overlay back on. Select the camera. Press Ctrl Alt numpad 0. The camera is almost perfect. Maybe not the best. Should be zoomed in a little more, but it's fine for now. In this case, turn the overlay off and let's press F12. So now we have our colors, we have our white reflection on it, but we want a black background because it just looks better to have something colorful on a black background. How do we do that? Well, if I would add in a plane, type in just 1000, make a new material for it and put this all the way onto black, it looks like shit. How can we do that? I was just trying to figure out until I remembered something that I learned from a tutorial from back in 2007 with a very old Blender, and that is that we need to make a new scene. So up here you can make a new scene. Let's press new. Let's just call this black, and let's just go back to the normal scene. And when we press F12, no, it's not that simple. Nothing happens. Now, even if you would go to the Eevee tab, the second one, film, and put the sky on transparent, press F12, background's going to be transparent, but there is no background. In this case, we need to make sure that these both scenes cooperating together. So let's raise this up again. This time, we're going to choose Compositing. Turn on Use Nodes. Just going to make this a little bit higher, zoom out for a bit. Like so. This is our final result, and this is what we want to be our final result. So with this being selected, just Shift D to duplicate this one. And now we need to make sure that these ones go into a mixer, and to our end result, press Shift A. Go to color and add mix. Then take this spaghetti string down here, put it in the one below. Make sure you select the one on the top and put this one in the middle. Now below here you can actually select the other scene and you don't see anything. Why? Well, that's because I forgot to add in a camera, so I'll just go back to the black. Shift A, add in a camera, here it is, very good. Go back to the scene, raise this up. Now, if I would reselect it, it should actually, well, it should have shown the preview. In this case, it doesn't. But let's just connect this spaghetti string into the image. Press F12. Nothing happens. When we turn off Use Alpha, press F12. There we go. We got our colorful fluid on a black background with a white world settings without using any lights. And this is basically just it. All you have to do right now is just make sure that you crank up the resolution. Meanwhile, just do something else. Play a simulation. If you're happy, you can add in a subdivision surface, or you can just wait with that and first crank out these frames. Which in case you can do on many ways. You can or either just go to the second output tab, render it as PNG, or you can render it as AV raw, which I do not recommend because you will get a little bit of lag. In my case, I just rendered it as PNG, and then imported all these PNGs into a video editor, changed the duration of the picture to 1 frame, and then pop out the video, and then this is what I got. So in part 3, we are going to do the thing that I have showed you as a teaser in part 1. If you've got some questions or a request, then comment below. If you found this video useful, then give it a like. and subscribe for more content if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.